everyone, this is Anjum. Welcome back to my channel Sahitya Abhyasa Academy. Today shall see a poem that is Break, Break, Break by Alfred Lord Tennyson's one of poem. Basically, it is an elegy written on his closest friend, Arthur Hallam. Okay, now. So let's begin. Background of what is the reason behind writing this poem and why he put the name called Break, Break, Break. Okay, so first personal reason to write for this poem is the poem was written after the sudden death of Tennyson, the closest friend, that is Arthur Hallam. Okay, so as we have seen his biography, there he met one of person that is Arthur Hallam, and day by day their friendship become very close, and more than whatever the success got in the life of Tennyson, the reason is Arthur Hallam, because he supported him last when a few of work has not been got any kind of his success or given success to the Tennyson. That time he went gone in the depression, because with the publication of those work he got so much criticism. That time this fellow supported him lot, and the day by day he became very closest to Tennyson, and more than suddenly we have seen the death of this fellow, that is Arthur Hallam. So for the remembering of his death, his memories, spending with his closest friend, and reason to create this poem, who died in 1833 at the age of 22 years. And Hallam's death shocked Tennyson deeply and pushed him into long emotional silence and depression, because once the thing is happened, unaccepting something is happen in our life, means that time we don't have a words to share, to express the things to anyone, because it was like a all of sudden. So this is what happened with the Tennyson's this is what happened with Tennyson by the death of his closest friend, that is Arthur Hallam. So he kept himself silence and depression, to whom I should express the dearable feelings on my friends. So there is no one. So by this reason he sat bank of the river, bank of the sea, and observed the waves of the sea. While observing those sea, he started to write this poem. What are the things it is included shall see soon. This grief also inspired Tennyson's the great elegiac work In Memoriam, and Break, Break, Break is one of the earliest expressions of that sorrow. One more thing, it is also the great elegy, that is In Memoriam. It is also poem, that is elegy, and this one also poem, Break, Break and Break. This is also poem which is elegy, but both poem express the grief. What is that? The grief of Tennyson's on his dearest friend, that is Arthur Hallam, who recently lost in his life. So those poems express, those elegiac work express the sorrow which is after losing the dearable one. And what about the emotional state of this poem? Like Tennyson, at the time of writing, Tennyson felt deep personal loss. Yes, once he lost his dearest friend, it just like a loss of, means deep personal loss is happened in his life, and he was unable to express his sorrow in a words. Yes, sometimes if you got so much, if we are very happy, means that times we won't express that happiness in the particular words. Instead that we cried. Yes, little we cried or we laughed. That is only enough to show the expressions of joy. And also sometimes if we got so much hurt, so much loss in our life, means that moment also we won't talk. Yes, we kept ourselves silent. So in that particular moment we don't have the words to express our griefness. This is what happened with Tennyson. So he was unable to express his sorrow in a word. So he felt isolated from the joyful world around him. Means he spent his life with a his friends. Once he lost means the whole world looked like a isolated from him. Means he is isolated from the joyful world. When the world looked joyful to him means when he is around with him. Means when Tennyson with his closest friend, the whole world looks very joyful. But right now he is not. He is no more. So he felt like a I am. Means Tennyson is isolated from that joyful world. I'm more than he is in a world called the grief. And this explains his silence, his envy of happy children and a sailor, and he is longing for his dead friend's voice and touch. Yes, so by sitting the seashore, he observed the communication of other people, how they communicate with each other. Even I wanted to communicate with my friend, but that friend is that friend is no more. So he wanted to listen his words, his friend's voice, and he wanted to touch his friend, but there is no one in his life. Means that fellow is not in his life. So he felt very grief and he misses his friend also. So this is how shows the longingness of his dead friend. That longingness of is wanted to listen his voice and wanted to touch that his friend. And core theme from the background. The background directly shapes the poem's main theme, that is irretrievable loss. Means the loss which cannot restored, the loss which cannot recovered. So ultimately that is the lost one which I cannot get it back in my life. That is what his friend. And the powerless human sorrow. Once a person is completely in a deep sorrow means there is no one to make it in a happy, because make it in a positive or a happy, because that is what powerless human sorrow. Once a person is undergoing in that sorrow means it is like a human doesn't have the power to make it in a happy like that. And memory versus present life. So memory, he lost his friend, and the present life is he misses he misses his friend's existence in his life. And the nature's indifference to human pain. Yes, sometimes nature express its joy, whereas he compares his life to life like a human pain. So indifferences. So nature played a different kind of a role, whereas humans nature like pain, sorrow, emotional, that plays a different part. And silence of a grief. So when a person is very grief, we can see the another reflection of his living is like, that is silence. Okay now. So what about the title and its symbolic meaning is that the break itself reflects repeated crushing of a waves. So usually we have been observing some kind of a stones which lies in the seashore. So usually the waves comes and hits that, what is that? That stone. This is what shows the break and crushes of the waves. So usually waves comes very fastly and hit that stones. This is how look the repeated, it is acting in a repeated way. This is what shows the meaning of the break. So repeated crushing of waves is nothing but break. A repeated beating of the poet's broken heart is a break. So repeated beating means, so whenever I got the thought of memory of my dear friends like Arthur Hallam, it is just like a beating to my heart. It is just like a breaking to my heart. So break. And the endless return of painful memories. So whenever I got the memory about my dearest friend, it shows that endless means it is not only got the memory on today, tomorrow I am going to forget, not like that. Oftentimes I got recall about my friend which made my heart to break. This is what the title of this poem, elegy poem, break. Shall we see the text of the poem? Yes, break. It is written by Alfred Lord Tennyson, one of representative poet of Victorian era. Okay now? So as another contemporary writer of this fellow like Robert Browning and Matthew Arnold also. Okay, now let's begin. Break, break, break. What is that? Break, break, break. So here the poet is sitting the seashore and observe the waves of a sea. How the waves is coming near to the stone. It is just like a break, break, break on the cold grey stones. Oh, see the way you send the waves towards to the old cold grey stones. It is just like hitting. The waves comes. Here we have seen the so many stones. Whenever it hits to the stones, it just like a breaks the stone. It tries to breaks the stone. Okay, getting my point? It tries to break the stone. It tries to hit the stone. That is cold grey stone. The stone looks like a black or a grey color. So oftenly it comes near and hit the what is that, cold grey stones. Just like a hitting that, just like a break, break, break. And here just the meaning of that, the poet feels alone. The poet feels alone, and whatever the pain is keeping in his heart is endless. That pain is not at all removing from his mind or a heart, and completely his life turned into sorrow life. Whenever it hits to the stone, hitting means oftenly recalling the memory of his dearest friend. However, I recall my friend's memory just like a breaking my heart. How the waves try to break the cold grey stones, just like the memory of my friend breaks to my heart. The break my heart. Yes, the wave continuously striking the sea shore. Am I right? See shore. In that shore we have seen so many cold grey stones. Yes, and I would that my tongue could utter the thoughts that arise in me. Very nice. See, on that cold, the thought that arises in me, and I would that my tongue could utter. So here he wishes he could give a voice to his deep grief and unspoken emotions. Like here the poet wishes to want to speak or express my depth, deep sorrow, a pain in front of someone. Getting my point? And I would that my tongue could utter means whatever I right now I got the pain which is kept in my heart. I just wanted to share this thing. I just wanted to express this thing in front of anyone. But I could not. But I am unable to express that grief in front of someone because that the thoughts that arises in me. So he feels frustrated that his intense sorrow cannot be fully expressed because what the sorrow, grief, pain is in me, I am unable to express it in a proper word. I am unable to express in a proper way to anyone because I don't have such a word to express my grief. That's why I kept silent myself. Getting my point? Because that much I got hurt by the loss of my friend's life in my life. So this is what I would that my tongue could utter means I wanted to express the how much I got hurt, how much I have a grief, a pain to the world, but the thoughts that arise in me, but I am unable to express those are the emotions or a grief in front of anyone. So, oh well, for the fisherman's boy that he shouts with his sister at play. So by sitting in a shore, he observed the waves on a stone, and also he observed there is a one fisherman who is talking with his sister with a very joyful way. So they have their own communication. That communication shows they both are very happy with communicating with each other. But what about me? I'm somewhere I got a jealous with seeing them, because right now I have lost my companion, my dearest friend. So, oh well for the fisherman's boy that he shouts with his sisters at a play. Oh well for the sailor lad that he sings in his boat on the bay. So somewhere the sister and brothers, they are very happy to keeping their communication with each other. Whereas there is one sailor, whenever he lead his, like whenever he is on his boat while reaching to the shore, he usually sings a song. That singing a song means he is very happy. He expresses his joy through the form of a song. But I cannot express my sorrow, my grief through the medium of any kind of a language, because I felt that much grief that I couldn't express my emotion. My emotions turn in a unspoken. So this is what called in a second stanza. So that he sings in his boat on the bay. Yes. So the way he sings, it shows like he is a very happy. At least he can express his happy through the song. But I am unable. Somewhere I felt jealous by seeing those people, like fisherman's keeping having communication with his sister, whereas a sailor singing a song while in his boat. Okay, so this is how we have seen. And next, so here we see he longs for the ability to feel and express a simple happiness. So that he sings in his boat on the bay means he just longs, he desires to sing a song, or he wanted to share a few moment of happiness which he spent with his friend that he couldn't. Yes, and the stately ships go on. What is that? And the stately ships go on to their haven under the hill. But oh, for the touch of a vanished hand and the sound of a voice that is still. Very nice. See how it says. So here we have seen the stately ship. How the ship looks? It looks very big and continue their journey. They won't stop themselves. Continuously they are doing their journey to their heaven under the hill. Means, and also another meaning of the sentence is that whatever the sorrow is occurred in their life, the sailor, the person who sails the boat, they never stop themselves. The life is going on continuously in their life. Then why I should keep getting my point? So they easily move on in their life. Means life itself is not stopping, it is moving on. So whereas every people is moving on with holding their pain in their life. So just like, and the stately ships go on and observe the life continuing around him indifferent to his sorrow. So how their life is continuously moving on, whereas my life is indifferent, because I am right now in my sorrow moment or a condition. And also to their heaven under the hill means here the ship reached their safe destination. Once the ship is started to their journey, finally it reaches under the hill, means wherever it wants to reach, wherever it wants has its own destination, it reaches there. But what the meaning of from a poet means, he feels a sense of longing for safety and peace that he cannot attain. It is started their journey, finally it reached. So finally, by safely they have reached their destination, whoever travel on this boat. But what about my condition? I just wanted to reach to my destination with safely. Like he experiences deep personal loss and he feels a sense of longing for safety and peace that he cannot attain. So like people reaching home safely after work. So here what it means he wanted to reach his destination, but he couldn't because he is complete in a loss of his existence of his friend. This is how made him to stop somewhere, unable to move from that from that particular place, unable to move from that particular recalling of his friend. That loss of his friend made him to stop in particular situation. He is unable to come out from that particular like sorrow. And but oh for the touch of a vanished hand, but oh for the touch of a vanished hand. Here the poet longs, yes, here the poet desires to touch his friend once again. And further, and the sound of a voice that is still calm or unable to move. It is stopped one. Okay, na? Stopped one. So here, poet desired to wanted to touch his friend like Arthur Hallam, and wanted to listen the voice of his friend who is lost in his life. Break again. So he deeply misses the presence and the warmth of someone. The someone is his friend, and who is no longer alive. With his not existence in his life, but he wanted to listen his voice, and he wanted to touch him again. But that fellow is not at all alive in the present moment. So break. Whatever the memories all are recalling in my mind that made my heart break, just like how the wave is hitting that sea stone, just like trying to break the stone. The memory of my memory of my beloved friend made me to break my heart. At the foot of the crags, O sea, at the foot of the means the wave hit the steep rock at the shore. So he feels overwhelmed by the harshness and performance of loss. So here, overwhelmed. So he is unable to control that feeling of loss, that feeling of that grief by losing someone who is very dearable, like his friend. So he is unable, means he is completely overwhelmed to control the loss of his friend. And but the tender grace, what is next? But the tender grace of a day that is dead. So here he expects, so he's lost happiness and friendship will never return. But the tender grace, a day of that is dead. Whatever the tender grace, whatever they have spent the moment called happiness, it won't come back. It won't come back in their life, because that is dead. The happiness itself dead with the loss of my friend. When the friend is dead, the happiness is dead with him. It cannot come back in my life. Will never come back to me. So because the day is dead when my friend is died. So this is how whatever we had spent a life with happily, that stored in my memory. Those memory, whenever I recall those memory, made me to break. So this is how, so he accepts with the sorrow, and that his personal joy and loved one can never return. So finally he accepts the sorrow. Yes, I must accept this one. The sorrow. What is that sorrow? My friend is not alive in this world, in the present. That means whatever the grief is in my heart and mind, I should accept that one, because those happy moments, those happy days never come back to me. So this is what the explanation of a poem anta helbodu. Understood? Hope so you are you have understood this poem. Okay, so here in a one line means, what is that? Break, a deeply personal elegy written by Tennyson after the death of his close friend Arthur Hallam. ಕೇಳಲಾಗಿತ್ತು ಈ ಕ್ವಶನ್ಸ್ನ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ. ಓಕೆನಾ? ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ರೆಸಿಂಗ್ ಅ ಸೈಲೆಂಟ್ ಗ್ರೀವ್ಸ್. ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ರೆಸಿಂಗ್ ಅ ಸೈಲೆಂಟ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ನರ್ಲಿ he is fighting with a grief. Like his grief, he wanted to express a kind of a the grief words, but he is unable to, because the emotional isolated, because he left alone in his life once he lost his dearest friend, and the painful contrast between personal sorrow and the continuing joy of the world. Yes, this is how. If someone is happy, there we see the another person is unhappy. And if we are unhappy, the world seems there is a people who lead their life in a happy. This is how. Means the pain, the sorrow is not stopped in our life. It became a part of our life. So life is going on. We have to be going on with the life itself. We have to be move on with life. Then only we can lead our life. Withholding only pain in our life means it is very difficult to lead our life. So better to, as elder says, the forget is what is that? Forget is a great gift from God. If it is not in our life means I don't think so every people can lead a life in their life, because it spoils their life. So once we forget the things, again we start lead our life in a new life, like we are born in a new day. Like once we forget the things means we feel that we are in a new world, or we got a born in a new day, like somewhat. So okay fine, this is what the poem of The Break Break Break, written by Alfred Lord Tennyson. And ಮ್ಯಾಮ್ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಕಂಡು ಬರ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷಲ್ಲಿ ಐ ಡೋಂಟ್ ನೋ ವೈ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಗಿವಿಂಗ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲನೇಷನ್ ಇನ್ ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷ್ ಟು ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷ್. ಅದು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಹೋದಂಗೆಲ್ಲ ತಂತಾನೆ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಐ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ ಮೈ ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಬೆಟರ್ ವೇ ಇನ್ ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷ್. ಅದು ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕನ್ನಡ ಮತ್ತು ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಿರ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ತೊದಲಿಕೆ ಕಂಡು ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಎನಿವೇ ಐ ಟ್ರೈ ಟು, ಬಟ್ ಆಸ್ ಪರ್ ಮೈ ಒಪಿನಿಯನ್ ಐ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೇನ್ ಇನ್ ಎ ವೆರಿ ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಗ್ವೇಜ್ and try to reach my words to understand this poem. Anyway, thank you for watching this class. If you understand this class, like, share and subscribe. Thank you for watching.